What up, Naughty Steppers? It's Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and it's time for another debut as I give you 5 collaborations that I would love to see in the bass music world. Pairings that we are unlikely to see anytime soon, but which I still think would be incredible in terms of a combination of styles. What I'm going to do is give a few reasons as to why I think each one would be great, and state why I'm not sure they would happen in the process. This is to increase the fantasy element a little more, and perhaps trigger these guys into making these tunes in response. But yeah, 5 potential dark electronic music pairings, let's go. And the first potential pairing I'm going to talk about is Space Laces and the Frim. This is one that I'm very surprised hasn't happened yet, considering how closely connected these guys are musically. Wild electric dubstep, not to mention all the times that both of them have collaborated with Excision over the years. Pretty much all of those tracks with Excision are some of my favourites of recent times, and I suppose it's just a bit baffling to me how these two have never crossed paths in that sense. It would be amazing to hear their styles enmeshed within each other, bouncing off each other's strengths. You've got the epic reaching dubstep of Space Laces, and the more animated, playful stuff from the Frim, all within that bright, invigorated, modern dubstep style. Having those two approaches come together to make something huge, which doesn't take itself too seriously, all the while sounding awesome, would be great. Unfortunately though, I don't see this happening anytime soon because of how inactive the Frim is. If he releases anything soon, it's probably not going to be with Mr. Laces in tow. But who knows, maybe at some point in the future these hyper dubstep legends will join forces. I for one would absolutely love it. And following that, the second potential pairing is Peekaboo and Crimmer. Probably the most rogue idea on this list, but I think these two would come up with something of the weirdest, most fantastic quality. The haunting, extraterrestrial, freeform bass of Peekaboo, alongside the cutesy, freakish, cartoony dubstep of Crimmer, would be quite a crossover. Having the depth of Peekaboo's bass, fuzzy and atmospheric, propped up by the sprightliness and colour of Crimmer, would just make for a really interesting combination. Both have this weird, unsettling, alien-like aesthetic, yet are from completely different walks of the bass music world. So putting them together just to see what would happen in this pretty outlandish blending of styles, I think would be really cool. For me, this is unlikely to happen because of how different their styles are. They're both pushing their own sounds and won't budge too much on that. But for a one-off single, it could happen, and even though one of them is really well known now and the other not so much, I think something could occur between these two. Nextly, with pairing number 3, we have Phase 1 and Mastodon. The reasons why these two would work well together are, to me, pretty obvious, to the extent that I'm quite surprised it hasn't happened already. Both with roots in heavy metal music, you'd have Phase 1's riveting, vivid notes alongside Mastodon's more spacious and vacuous ones. Both tapping into those seriously heavy industrial dubstep sounds, albeit completely different ones. Mastodon's more metallic and jarring, Phase 1's earthy and grungy. The general feel of their styles differ too, Mastodon's slower and more distant, Phase 1's quicker and more in-your-face. How this would work is an intriguing question. There's a distinction structurally as well, Phase 1 preferring the longer introductions, and Mastodon going straight from the intro to the drop for the most part. So I think these two making a tune together would create quite the result. How it would turn out, I'm not sure anyone knows. Unlikely in my eyes because of them being from Disciple and Never Say Die respectively. Obviously, people have collaborated across those labels, but it's definitely rarer than you would think. But hopefully someday they can make it happen because it would be quite the ground-shaking number in the bass music scene. They're also both from Australia, so whenever you boys are both home, cook something up. Following on from there, the fourth pairing I'm going to talk about is Rez and Drezzo. Another example here of two producers from different ends of the bass music spectrum stylistically, but who actually have a fair amount in common sonically. Rez with her incredibly deep, mind-numbing mid-tempo EBM beats, and Drezzo with his thick, pulsating house belters. But to be honest, the descriptions I've given for each there could be said for the other. They both know exactly how to get you right in the gut with their respective sounds. Both producers use bass to create a kind of hypnosis, incredibly dark, frazzled sounds that are irresistible and leave you wanting more, creating a sense of alienation between music and listener, yet at the same time luring you further into the depths of their world. You just know that in working together they would do all they can to encapsulate just what it is about dark bass music that moves us so much. Quite a picture they would paint, I imagine. Unlikely, again, because of how different their styles are. Sonically there are definite similarities, but to be honest, I just don't see exactly how the stars align here. Although, to my knowledge, they are touring together or have done already, so who knows, maybe they'll have time or have had time to make a tune. Would we get Drezzo going back to his more slow-paced stuff, or Rez on a house tune, or something entirely different altogether? We will have to wait and see. And last, but by certainly no means least, pairing number 5, Bad Clot and Company. This would just be an immense collaboration between two of dubstep's mightiest producers at current. For the most part, both Bad Clot and Company base their sound around the sheer force and power of its delivery. Mind-blowing, rip-roaring dubstep to take you off your feet, music that really leaves a mark and squashes everything in its wake. The difference lying in how contained their respective sounds are, how much ground they cover. Company's is more wide-reaching in his use of reverb in his drops, whilst Bad Clot's is more suppressed, meaty, punchy, guttural. And to see these two worlds collide would again, I think, make for a very interesting result. No real idea of how it would turn out. Unlikely because, as I said, their styles are different, and I think both would have to adapt a fair bit to get something fully reflective of their two approaches. But that's not to say it couldn't work. They're both very good at what they do, so I trust them in that respect. Would be quite the thunderous track, that's for sure. Furthermore, they are both signed to Never Say Die, so get working, guys. And so that is that, guys, for the first part of the 5 bass music collaborations I'd love to see series. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much, and as always, for tuning in. Which of these collaborations excite you in principle? What are some other collaborations from the bass music world that you would love to see? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hitting the notification bell along the way. For some other top 5 or 10 videos on the channel, check out the link next to my head somewhere. Don't forget to like and follow Nawtystep across social media, all of which is linked in the description box down below. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know, guys, so be sure as always to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.